Thank you, Joe.
And Joe,
Great.
before you get started, Marta, there are several people that have now joined the attendee list, and if somebody is in the attendee list that needs to be a participant, could you please say so in the chat for your project if you need to?
Thank you, Jen. And please respond to everyone because this is better so all of us know about this.
Okay,
So
Thanks, Marta. And I'll get into the instructions in a bit, but again, if anybody should be on the panelist side, put it on the chat, and the Department of Planning will get you in. Okay, so welcome everyone to the September 10th, 2025 meeting of the Baltimore County Design Review Panel. I am the chair of the panel, Joseph Usifero, and this meeting is now called to order. We'll start with a roll call to account for the members of the panel that are present on this call. When you hear your name, please say aye. Mr. Can?
Aye.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Sharma?
Aye.
Excellent. Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's go to Mr. Stevens.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's go to Mr. Walters. Is Mr. Walters on yet?
Aye.
Thank
Evening.
you. Yep, you've joined. Thanks. Mr. Fran Anderson, who is our residential reviewer.
Aye.
Excellent. Did I miss anyone on the roll call that is on the panel? Excellent. Thank you. And again, Mr. Usifero is here. Marta, have there been any changes to the tentative agenda that is published on the screen?
no, there are none, Joe. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. So at this point, we'll go ahead and review the minutes from our last public meeting, which was July 9th, 2025. So in an email that was sent on July 14th, 2025, my fellow panel members received draft minutes from the July 9th meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the draft minutes as emailed? I'm going to take the silence as a yes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from the July 9th, 2025 DRP meeting? Hearing no corrections. So based upon that, who would like to make a motion to accept the minutes as circulated?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as circulated.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Do I have a second?
I second.
Mr. Stevens, thank you. All in favor, if you could come off of mute and say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. I think I heard everyone. Any opposed to the motion? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. Thank you very much. So we'll now proceed to an opening statement as it relates to the DRP. So if folks could mute their lines, I'm going to take a couple minutes just to go through the opening statement. So Title 4, Subtitle 2, Part 1, Sections 32.4.203 and 204 establish the Design Review Panel, and we use the acronym DRP. The DRP was established to encourage design excellence and shall act in a consulting and advisory capacity to the agencies involved in the process for reviewing development plans. The objectives for the DRP's assessment include spatial, visual, and functional relationship to the topographical characteristics, the natural and built features of the site, as well as surrounding features of the site, visual and functional integration of streetscapes, pedestrian pathways, playgrounds, recreational amenities and parks. Streets and sidewalks are laid out in a safe and convenient manner, and parking is a positive design element. Buildings, parking garages, and other structures are spatially and visually integrated and suitable to their surroundings in proportion, massing, and type of materials and colors, signage, and other elements of urban design. And plant materials are selected and cited to define the site, provide a theme, frame a view, enhance architecture and street character, improve microclimate, provide transition between dissimilar uses, screen objectionable views and uses, and reduce noise levels and glare. In carrying out its duties, the DRP utilizes the guidelines, plans, and architectural principles in the Comprehensive Manual of Development Policies and/or Master Plan, as well as other guidelines and regulations adopted into law. Certain areas of the county were designated by the County Council to require review by the DRP. The panel will provide a technical review of the proposed project. Issues relative to zoning, setback relief, environmental and stormwater management, as well as traffic regulations, do not fall under the purview of the DRP and are regulated through the appropriate agencies responsible for those aspects of the development plan review process. The panel consists of 9 members. All are professionals with practical knowledge in the matters of design. For purposes of making recommendations on a particular project, 3 members shall constitute a quorum. The attendance and comments of each member shall be recorded in the minutes, which shall be an open record and available along with all documents submitted to the panel for inspection and copying by the public. There will be an opportunity for the community to offer comments and suggestions at the conclusion of the applicant's presentation. These comments will also be included in the written record of the meeting. When a speaker is called up to speak, please keep your comments focused on design perspectives within your allowed 2 minutes of time. And if you're speaking on behalf of a community group, you will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. At the conclusion of the meeting, the Department of Planning will sum up the recommendations of the panel before a motion for a vote is suggested. Recent legislation has changed the panel's recommendations to be advisory on the hearing officer and the various county agencies, unless the hearing officer or agencies find the panel's actions constitute an abuse of its discretion or are unsupported by the documentation and evidence presented. Disposition of the plan will be determined as either approved, approved with conditions, or additional review with a second meeting being required. So that is my opening statement. Thank you for bearing with me. So we will proceed with review of the agenda. So there are 4 items on the agenda. 1, 2, and 3 are residential review projects, which are in the RRL, RAIA residential review area. The first project is 1738 Circle Road. The second project is 1007 Roland View Road. And the third project is 8214 Bologna Avenue. As we proceed to the 4th project, because of my personal involvement in the project and the project team, I will not participate in that project and will officially recuse myself. Mr. Donald Can will then step in to serve as the acting chair. So just a couple quick announcements before we jump into the projects. For the presenters, know that all design packages have been mailed out to the panel members. Panel members have had a few weeks to review in depth the submission package. So I would ask the applicants to keep your presentation very efficient and succinct, and try to keep that presentation to within about 10 minutes. To my fellow panel members, please keep your comments efficient and succinct as well. Please don't repeat comments, and And I think we'll have a very efficient meeting. But again, 4 items on the agenda, one of the more packed agendas that we've seen here. So at this point, we'll proceed to item number 1, 1738 Circle Road in the RRL RAIA Residential Review Area. If the presenter would please introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Good evening. I'm Alan Klatsky. I'm the president and owner of Prestige Development Corporation. I've been building homes for over 40 years, and to date, it's several hundred homes. I'm not sure of the exact number. And I've been developing property in Baltimore County for 40 years as well. So I'm a bit familiar with this process. I've been through it before. 1738 is a property that we are hoping to subdivide off of the primary parcel, which is known as 1919 Ruxton Road. And if you look at the entire parcel, it's a little over 4 acres, and we're basically chopping it in half. So each of the 2 lots would be about 2 acres. The property fronts Circle Road. So our new home that we're proposing will be facing Circle Road. And one thing to note is that at the western side of the property, there's the main home up on the hill, 1919 Ruxton Road, and then a small cottage, which is known as 1740 Circle Road, down below. The cottage has been a rental property for years, I believe. And through negotiation with the owners, I have agreed to remove all plumbing from the cottage so that it will never be rented again. It'll be maintained as a she shed office type of structure for the main manor house, which is existing at 1919 Ruxton Road. At 1738, we are proposing a single new home, and you can go down to the next page. That's just part of the, so this is the minor subplan, which is hard to see because there's just a lot of detail, but it basically shows the new house right there on the eastern side of the 4-acre parcel. You can scroll down again. So here I took some panoramic pictures standing what would be the middle of the house, the new house, and taking a picture of the front of the property and then taking a picture of the view of the back of the property. And you can see with the existing trees, it's pretty well screened from any neighbors on all sides. And that again just shows exact photographs from a northern view, southern view, western view, and eastern view. Again, standing in the middle of what would be the new house. And then I show adjoining properties, a splattering of homes on Circle Road. It's really a very mixed type of architecture throughout Circle Road. There's some very old homes, and then there's some newer kind of homes of all sorts of styles. There are 2 homes that I built just a couple of years ago. And this shows the house and the relationship to neighboring properties. This shows a cut through how the house is oriented on the lot with topography. And here again, we're showing the exact distance from our new house to all existing homes. And here's the architecture of the new house. I feel that we did a really nice job of creating a very balanced elegant and refined home with the hip roofs and the dormers, beautiful materials, shaker siding with natural stone, Grand Manor shingle that will resemble slate, and the standing seam metal roof over the front porch. You can continue. The rear of the house has a very big covered porch, and there will be a pool that's shown on our plan. Again, just different views of the home. I know you've had a chance to review all that. And then you have the floor plan. The floor plan includes on finished square footage, first and second floor total about 7,500 square feet. That's the second floor and lower level, which is almost all finished. And then here's some of the exterior finishes, the shaker siding, that's the color that we're using, the exterior lighting, the natural stone, which is a beautiful blend. There's a picture of the shingle and then the standing seam metal for the front porch. Next are the actual blueprints of the home. Again, I know you've had a chance to review all that. Basement, first floor, second floor, roof, front elevation, side elevation. There is a walkout on the eastern side. That's the rear. And the western side with the 3-car side load garage. 10-foot ceilings on the first floor, 9-foot ceilings on the second floor. And in those diagrams, we're showing where the various materials would be. All the necessary correspondence was sent out, letters to all the neighboring properties, etc.
Okay, Mr. Klatsky, does this conclude your presentation?
It does.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So at this point, we'll go ahead and open the floor to any public comment that the community may have. So as a reminder, you will be allowed 2 minutes to speak from an individual property owner and allowed 5 minutes to speak if you're speaking on behalf of a community group. So Sean, Marta, Brett, Jennifer, has anyone signed up to speak on this project?
Yes, Mr. Owens, David Owens would like to speak on behalf of the Ruxton Riderwood Association. If you could unmute him, Marta.
Yes, I'm trying to unmute him.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted.
Okay, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is David Owens. I'm a board member of Ruxton Riderwood Lake Roland Area Improvement Association. And I want to thank Alan for being very cooperative in this process. It's a sort of major project for Circle Road, and we have had, a fair amount of concerns, and I think he's done very well to address them and sort of come up with, good solutions. So it is a large house, but there are large houses right next door and it's a big lot. So I know we've had issues previously about large houses on small lots, but this one is a large house on a large lot. So I think that's appropriate. And the materials are all very acceptable and the design is very acceptable. The couple of issues we've had with neighbors are more not as design oriented, but more about stormwater management and location issues. So I'll try and be brief, but address them. So, and I think Alan has addressed these too. So they're not major issues, but I think we'll just, for the record, put them on the record. So the one neighbor directly across the street was concerned about the location of the driveway. The lady has a circular driveway, and she was worried about construction traffic in front of her driveway and electrical outages and not having access to her property at all times. So we did a bunch of email exchanges and Alan pretty much addressed them. And he said that basically he located the driveway in the center of her circular driveway to avoid any direct conflicts. And then there were a lot of other issues, septic and forest conservation that, sort of deemed that the driveway be where it is located. So I think, we've managed to get that neighbor fairly well, her concerns addressed. The other one is more of a Circle Road issue, and there's a lot of, I'd say, flooding on that street from these heavy storms that we've had over the past summer, and it's a very small street and not designed for 4-inch rainfalls, and so there's a lot of concern that an additional house, especially a large one, would create more stormwater runoff. I know that's not a DRP direct issue, but and again, Alan sent us this very complex stormwater management plan, and it's way beyond what we normally see in residential properties. So we're assuming it's acceptable, and that Baltimore County will deem it worthy of capturing the runoff from that property. I guess we'd just like to note that was a concern. That it's a very, it's a commercial type of stormwater management. Alan sent us the plans and I looked at them and tried to figure it out. It's fairly complicated, way beyond my scope of knowledge. But, I think, and I'm sure the engineers have done the calculations, and hopefully that will all be do its job in the future. So those are really the issues. Again, the materials and the design of the house are very attractive, and I think it will be once it's all built, a beautiful addition to the neighborhood.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Owens. And just know that on the stormwater management, the county will be reviewing the plans, and they will also confirm that that there would not be additional drainage that would exacerbate the current challenge. So just know that the county will be reviewing, from that standpoint as well.
May I interject for 1 minute? This is Alan again.
For 1 minute, and then we'll have to move on.
Okay. We originally had what's considered a classic pond to capture the runoff, and that was in the front of the house. That's what is really typical for this type of minor subdivision. But I elected, because I have a soft spot in my heart for Ruxton and certainly Circle Road, we are doing an underground system that's costing me an extra $150,000. So it's not seen from the road, and it's an enormous buried tank system to capture all the water.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Klatsky. Okay. Department of Planning team, has anybody else signed up to speak?
There's an MN that said they would like to comment. I don't know who that is. Marion Novak.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Marian Novak. I'm a resident of Circle Road. My property is located on the other side of Circle Road, to the right of the drawing that's shared on the screen right now. I didn't have a chance to participate in any previous discussions about this project, and similar to the questions that were echoed earlier about the project execution, I was hoping to get a little more clarity on when this project would start, how long it would take roughly, and if it would be year-round effort. And my concerns were around the construction vehicle traffic on Circle Road, the noise, the dust, and the impact on the road itself. As you know, this road is about 2 years old, I believe. And if there will be any responsibility after the construction is done to bring the road to the state in which it is currently. Sorry, there's a loaded question, but I would appreciate a brief answer to those questions. Thank you.
Mr. Klatsky, would you like to efficiently and succinctly try to respond to that?
I would say that I built a very large home at 1861 Circle Road, and we had absolutely no issue with vehicular traffic with our construction. I think if you spoke to the neighbors on that side of Circle Road, they would tell you that it was seamless and they were surprised at how careful I was. And I expect to do the same or more here because I know that there's, many neighbors that are affected. I'm a homeowner as well, and I don't like to be bothered by construction. So we will be very, very conscious of what goes on in the street.
Mr. Klatsky, approximately how long would it take to build the home?
Probably 18 months start to finish because of all of the infrastructure that we're doing.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Department of Planning team, has anyone else signed up to speak?
Yes, Joe, we have,
David Machinsky. Mr. Machinsky?
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can
Yes, you
hear
have
you.
2 minutes.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Hi, I live at 1741 and also own 1743. I have two questions. One is regarding 1919. I know we're talking about 1738 at this moment, but is the overall plan to keep the structure in 1919 constructed and not demolish it and build another property? And then my other question is regarding a tree buffer that's in front of my property mostly on lot 1, but kind of closing in on lot 2, and it provides a lot of visual buffer, like a privacy screen for, in particular, my property facing the 1919 side. And I just wanted to inquire on whether that's going to remain.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Machinsky, for your comments. Marta or Mr. Slatsky, is there a tree removal plan in your package?
There is.
Okay, Marta, can you go to that? I think that may be the appropriate plan to look at. While Marta's trying to find that, Mr. Klatsky, can you respond to the comment about the structure at 1919?
I can tell you without looking at the plan that we're not doing anything to lot 1. We're not doing anything at all. And the buffer that he's talking about is a buffer that I certainly enjoy as the property owner. And I'm not removing any buffers or any greenery that don't have to be, disturbed for house construction. So I would hope that he would rest in peace to know that just about everything along Circle Road is going to remain as is. As far as plans for the manor house at the top of the hill, I have no plans for it at all right now.
Great. Thank you very much. I think that addresses both of the comments. Department of Planning team, has anyone else signed up to speak?
Joe, I have Bruce Kennedy under the name Maggie Kennedy would like to speak.
Okay, could you please unmute Bruce or Maggie?
Hello? You're unmuted.
Oh, good evening. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you fine.
Okay, I apologize. First, I got a notice that I was not able to take myself off mute. So thank you. Thank you very much, Alan. This is Bruce Kennedy, 1915 Rushton Road, and we abut the property to the east. Thank you very much, Alan, for presenting your materials and for your participation in the hearing this evening. I'm commenting per the clause in our agreement with Alan, whereby we reserve the right to participate and comment during review of the project by the Baltimore County Design Review Panel. From our perspective, and we appreciate Alan engaging on this, on the project. From our perspective, the design and the size of the house are generally inconsistent with the character and style of the neighborhood and the surrounding houses. And so we would ask the design review panel to endorse a design that's more reflective of the neighborhood, both in character and the scale of the house, just in the interests of the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Department of Planning team, has anyone else signed up to speak?
I don't see anybody else in the chat.
Okay. Given there's nobody else in the chat, we'll go ahead and officially close the public comment period. And at this point, we'll go to the panel discussion. So let's go to Mr. Anderson first. Mr. Anderson, are you still on?
Yes, sorry, Joe, had you on mute.
Yep, we can hear you now.
Yeah. I just have a couple of comments, quick questions. One on the site plan here, because it's on the drawing. The access to 1919 from Ruxton Road, there are notes on here about, the access road not being removed at the back of 1919, but it also cuts through the property. It's not really clear to me what's happening with either access from Ruxton Road or, more to the point, that roadway, the macadam that is through the north side of the site. You can see it here by the pool house, I guess. What's actually happening with that?
That paved surface that sits behind the proposed new house will all be removed.
Okay. So is there, just to be clear, there is or is not currently access from Ruxton Road to 1919?
There is right now, yes.
So you'll be removing that access. There'll no longer be access.
Correct.
And then 1919 will access from Circle Road.
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear about that.
Yes.
And then there's a note on there about a widening on your section of the widening of Circle Road. Are you doing a widening of the road there?
I certainly hope the county doesn't make me widen Circle Road. I think it would change the character of the street.
Okay.
The county has asked that be noted.
Okay. All right. So it's not planned. And some of that just goes to the question of, you could obviously maybe do repairs if there were any needed, if you were doing widening at the same time. But at any rate, with regard to two things, one quick note for those who are most concerned. I've seen a lot of notations from neighbors about stormwater and such, and you've obviously done a lot of work on that, and I applaud you for that. The county, I have great confidence in the county, but at the end of the day, the best way you could ensure yourself that the stormwater is being handled properly is to get engaged with the builder, with the county, understand it. And if you don't understand it, get an engineer to review it. So I'm going to tell people I've been through this design review process for a long time. And I've had a lot of people come to me and ask me about stormwater management. It's not within our purview. we're not looking out for that. And the best advice to anybody who has a concern about it is to have an engineer look at the drawings on your own. With regard to the last comment about the size of the house, it is a very large house. It is on a very large lot. The association has chimed in that they don't have any issues with it. There are, depending on which direction you go, other examples of similar sized homes in and around Circle Road and Ruxton Road. I do appreciate the fact that many of the houses across Circle Road are smaller, of a different nature, but the distance and the screening in this case seems to warrant the approval of the larger size house. So I did want to address the comment from the last resident. But that's all I have, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Let's go to Mr. Walters next.
Thanks, Joe. Initial question, and it may be answered from the drawing that's on the screen now. I was wondering how the building was sited in a way. I think part of the question of the size of the house is compounded a little bit with how the grading works, where the first floor is 20 to 30 feet above Circle Drive. I'm wondering your process of determining, say the first floor elevation and the depth back from Circle Road.
Well, we spent a tremendous amount of time trying to balance the back of the property to the front of the property and basically break it in the middle. So again, that ties into stormwater management and how all the grading works in order to not create a problem. I believe that my engineers spent a tremendous amount of time, not only on their own, but certainly working with the county to make sure that the grades were appropriate.
And then could you also just comment on it is in this drawing as well. Can you just describe for us a little bit the screening on the right-hand side to the property to the, I guess, plan east? Because that is also where the building is its tallest at where the walkout basement is.
Right.
Correct.
So the neighbor who abuts me on that side, on the eastern side, is the gentleman that spoke earlier. And the screening that we have was something that was negotiated with them. They requested that row of screening.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Mr. Walters. Let's go to Mr. Stevens next.
Good evening. I'm looking at this, and I guess I'm really fine with the expression of the house, the various components, and et cetera. My concern is only about there's really no drawings for us to review and understand pertaining to the pool and the patio and any associated walks and adjacent landscaping. I mean, we have much pertaining to the actual house, but it would be nice if we had some drawings indicating what's really being designed there and et cetera.
But very simply, the patio that comes out of the house, if you look at this plan and you see the French glass doors on the back of the house and the patio associated with it, it goes right out to the pool. There are no walkways, et cetera. The patio goes straight out to the pool. And then the landscape plan does show the plantings around the back side of the pool.
Okay, but there's actually no plan, or there's no section indicating that particular happening on the site.
Nothing more than this site plan, no.
Okay. That's my only comment, Joe.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Stevens. Let's go to Mr. Sharma.
Good evening, everyone. No, I don't have any comments. It's good.
Excellent. Thanks, Mr. Sharma. Then let's round out with Mr. Can.
Thank you. I want to commend the development team for being so responsive to the community conversations as has been discussed. And I have no further comments.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Can. And so the joy of going last is a lot of my fellow panel members captured my comments. So I have no further questions or comments beyond what has been discussed. So we're now at the point to make a motion. And as a reminder, we can approve the project as submitted. We can approve the project with certain conditions, very specific to, design modifications, or we can request the applicant to come back for an additional second meeting. So, who would like to make a motion for this project?
Joe, this is Fran. I would be willing to make a motion. I'm not entirely clear, however, if Mr. Stevens was asking for something additional he would have liked to see or would like to see as part of the approval of this on that pool area. I don't want to skip over his concern, but that was the only concern I heard that might carry some additional information.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Stevens, can you come off of mute and just clarify what your thoughts were, considering Mr. Klatsky, I think, addressed your comments with the plan that's in front of us?
He did address my comment, even though I still would like drawings, whether they're in plan, that really express what is really occurring on the patio and the pool and the adjacent walkways around the pool.
Can I share with you that they're all bluestone, which is noted in the text of my description of the property?
Yes, you can, and you did. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Mr. Anderson, I think that clarified. So do you want to start with a motion?
Okay. I would move that the project be approved as submitted.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Can, thank you as a second. All in favor, or if you could come off of mute and say aye.
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 Aye. Aye as well. Any opposed to that motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much, and best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate all of you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's proceed to item number 2, which is 1007 Roland View Road in the RRL RAIA residential review area. Same comments pertain. Know that the panel members have this package. Please try to keep your presentation to within 10 minutes. If the presenter would please introduce yourself, the floor will be yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ian Sikorsky. I'm an architect of Design Evolution Architecture. This house is a single-family residence. The owner is also the contractor for the house, so we've been working with them to develop the alterations to it. The project can be broken down into 3 basic components here. The larger piece is the addition of a 3rd story. Smaller pieces includes the addition of a front entry vestibule and stair and enclosed space. And then an existing deck located on the east side will be reconstructed with a solid roof over top of it. Still an open deck here. The site's a little interesting. Roland View Road traverses east-west here, and the house is located slightly downhill from Roland View Road and then swings back uphill. So the house is built into a hill. It presents as 2 stories toward the front, the Roland View side, and the rear of the house is really single story. So if we can scan down to the next page, please. Okay. There's photos of the existing house here. It was built 1970, 1969, somewhere around there. So you can see the house over on the left-hand side there. The other photos there are from Roland View Road. So this time of year, most of the year, when there's leaves, we don't get a lot of view of the property from Roland View. So I got a shot going each direction there. So I didn't mean to be too cheeky here by showing just woods, but it's a heavily wooded area. The area where the house is located it's pretty sparsely landscaped here with just some bushes and some overgrown weeds here. We can proceed down to the next slide, please. Existing plans. Okay, proceed to the next slide. Okay, I got some drawings for the demolition. They're not too heavily noted, but anything that's dashed is more or less being removed here. With the existing house, we're not creating any new openings, but all the windows and doors will be removed and replaced there. You can see down on the north elevation, that existing deck that I mentioned is going to be reconstructed. Right now, it has a pergola over a portion of it that will be removed and replaced with a solid roof there. So next slide, please. Okay, here's our plans of the existing basement, our first floor level, as well as existing second floor. And then next screen there. Okay, so this is where the bulk of the project is occurring. So we're adding that third story on, and which is really just going to be a tall roof that can be occupied within it. So it's for bedrooms, and the owners wish to kind of move the current bedrooms from that lowest level to a higher floor here. If you can go to the next sheet, please. Okay. So let's see what this result's going to be. We're adding on a little bit of a knee wall around the perimeter, and then constructing a steep pitch roof with some dormers, so that we get a lot of occupiable space in there. On the north elevation, here's that right in the center there. You can see with the board and batten siding. That's a pretty significant feature added to the front of the property there. That'll contain an entry as well as stairs. And at the third floor level, it's just an open area for family room up there. There's going to be an additional little covered porch to the right of that small addition to the front there. And then finishes are keyed in. And the next sheet has some has the finishes, but generally speaking, the existing brick will just be painted or repainted. It's painted white now. It'll be repainted with a fresh white. Most of the additions are going to be either a board and batten style siding and then a horizontal siding. The roofs will be a variety of shingles as well as some highlights with the standing seam metal roof there. So I think that is pretty much it for a brief rundown on the project here.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sokolsky. So at this point, similar to the first project, we'll go ahead and see if anyone from the community is signed up to speak. As a reminder, speaking on behalf of a community group, you'll be allowed 5 minutes. If you're not, you'll be allowed 2 minutes. So Department of Planning team, has anyone signed up to speak for the project?
Nobody has signed up in the chat, Joe.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and officially close the public comment period. I know we didn't allow too much time for that, so if somebody does sign up in the chat, we'll go ahead and allow them to speak. As this is a residential project, there's not going to be a staff report, so we'll go to the panel members. So I'm going to go in reverse order, but still start with Mr. Anderson.
Oh, I thought it was really going to be reverse order. I will start. First, I will say, look, this is a great improvement to the existing structure. I'll say that. I do have a couple questions and one or two comments. First and foremost, when we see a project that's going to add another full floor to a house, in any project, we usually like to see an array of the neighborhood houses around it, adjacent to it, in the package. And you didn't provide that. Now, I did go and drive it, and I looked at Google Maps and stuff, and it does seem that there is this is probably one of the few single story. I call it single story because on the roll and view side, you only see the first full story. So in the future, just keep in mind, we would like to see what it looks like in context of the homes around it. Most of them are bigger than the existing house and probably similar to the size and what you're building here. So I don't have an issue with that, but just keep that in mind for the next time. Quick question. Are you removing any of the existing trees, landscape, what have you? Because there's no indication of that on the drawings either.
No, if we could scroll back to the photos, please. I think it was maybe third sheet or something. There you go. No, most of this, most of the shrubbery, you can see the evergreens, they're going to be retained. Some things that I mentioned, some basically overgrown weeds. So like photo number 2, those what appear to be trees are actually just overgrown weeds that are growing out, and I'm afraid they're disturbing the foundation also. So there's really not much value to those, but it's already in the paved area in the driveways you can see there. But no, there's no significant trees that are going to be removed at all here.
Okay. Yeah, and it particularly as it relates to the downhill side of the property and the houses behind, which I know there's a very large house behind it. So last question, if we can go to the front elevation or the elevations real quick. My only question is I guess this is the north elevation, which is the front, right, facing Roland View.
Right.
What's going on the first floor there, where you have on the second floor you have 3 windows in the center section of the house. On the first floor you have a single window kind of stacked below the one on the right, but there's nothing to the left.
Sure.
What's happening interior there?
Yeah, that's where the stairs are. So yeah, you can scroll up to the floor plans there. I think maybe 2 sheets back.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can see how the stairs kind of dogleg up through there. There's a closet tucked in there. One of the things, though, if you recall, there were some trees and shrubbery that's existing right now, and they'll remain. So it is screening that area too. We don't like to leave blank walls if we can help it, but it's one of those conditions there. We've got stairs there, and they don't seem to work anywhere else.
Yeah. Go to the first floor plan if we could, real quick. Propose there it is. Never mind. Proposed first floor, right? Okay. I guess my question is, in that landing of the stair, if we go back to the elevation, I'm not going to make a big deal of this. I'm just sort of spitballing it with you. I don't know exactly where that landing falls, but if it were to fall underneath one of the other second floor, call it second floor, whatever, windows, I guess, would it be possible to put a window at the landing? And if it doesn't, I wouldn't say do it, but I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the where that elevation lands, to be honest with you. So I'd have to see, but that makes perfect sense. When we put a window someplace that's certainly preferable, but I'll have to check to see where that landing kind of goes.
It's just a suggestion. It would help that elevation a little bit if there were something there at the far end. But anyway, that was all I had. Thanks.
Super. Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Can next.
Thank you. I appreciate the energy behind trying to build a second floor on top of an existing building. And I think, generally it's been pretty successful. I think I would look more carefully at some of the window placement, particularly on the west facade where that top floor and the floor below it don't align. And I think it's worth the effort to try to get that a little more organized. And then also even on the south facade where the center dormer space is a family area, I think. And again, I think that more windows in that section would sort of work better than what's there. But I think overall, and I think, in future presentations, I think seeing other buildings in that community, I looked at the Google Maps too, but I think seeing other buildings would help. And I think even a colored elevation would help, and not having enough information here with the windows, makes it a little difficult to know exactly how refined all this would be and some of the railing details, that kind of thing. But I think overall it's successful, and I appreciate the effort.
All right, thanks, Mr. Kim. Let's go to Mr. Sharma.
All right. So, Mr. Eastford, please disregard my question if it's out of the purview of DPR. The only question I have is existing structure sound enough to support the load of the additional floor?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the owner is a contractor, and he's very familiar with the intimate details of his existing house here. So we have looked at it. Yes, the additional the walls on the exterior there, the wood frame with a brick veneer, and the inside has a center bearing wall running down the entire center of it. We've considered all this, and then at certain points we do have some supplemental support and beams where it's required for the new third floor framing.
Does it need any type of structural certification?
No, none of the no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Sharma. And I'll say too that there would be a Baltimore County building permit that would be required as well. So there would be an additional level of review from a structural standpoint at the county level. Let's go to Mr. Stevens next.
Okay. Just looking at the overall, the floor plans and the X-ray elevations, I mean, what Donald Can mentioned pertaining to the windows, I'm not going to address, but outside of that, I'm very pleased with the presentation that you've made here today. I find it very appropriate as far as the additions, the porch, the third floor, etc. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Stevens. Let's round it out with Mr. Walters.
Thanks, Joe. For this, I don't have any other comments that haven't been articulated already.
Thank you. Excellent. Yeah, and I'll just close with, I do think it's also very appropriate. I did look at the adjacent structures in the neighborhood and believe that it's, with the existing landscaping to be preserved, I think this would appropriately fit in to the neighborhood. So, okay, so I think we're at the motion time. Who would like to make a motion? And again, we can approve it. We can approve it with conditions, or we can require a second meeting.
Joe, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I would move that the project is approved as submitted.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Anderson. There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Mr. Walters with the second. All in favor, if we could come off of mute and say aye.
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 I,
Aye. I think I heard everyone. Any opposed? For the record, please speak up. Hearing none, the motion carries. Congratulations and thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening.
You as well. Okay. So let's proceed to item number 3, which also falls in the RAIA residential review area. We are at 8214 Bologna Avenue. Same instructions would apply. Try to keep your presentation to within 10 minutes. And if the presenter would please introduce yourself, the floor is now yours.
Alrighty, good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Carl. I am the representative from Caruso Homes, representing the builder for this project. I have no intention of using the full 10 minutes, so we'll try to save everybody some time here. General overview of this project. The owner is the current owner of the property. We are going to tear down the existing one level, somewhat of a U-shaped. It was a detached garage that was semi-attached. And we are tearing it down in its entirety, and then rebuilding our Kingsport floor plan, which you'll see plans for later. If you can scroll down a little bit, we do have pictures of the current property from the back of the home, the front of the home. You can see the detached garage there to the left. Front of the house is screened with trees. There's no intent in taking any of these trees out. It is a side load garage where we'll be using most of the existing driveway. So it should not disturb any of the screening in the front of the home. Again, these are all just pictures of the side and current conditions. You can keep scrolling down for me. All right. Here is the overall site plan. Let me scroll my screen just a little bit. All right, as you can see there, it is coming off a shared driveway, and there are 2 newer homes that were built about a little less than 10 years ago behind. We are, again, using current driveway. Overall footprint of the home, obviously it is different, but we are not going outside, if any, very little outside of the existing footprint of the current home. Not a whole lot of topography to this one, like I saw in the first project. Pretty cut and dry for us, a tear down and rebuild. You can keep scrolling down there. All right, here is the landscaping plan. Pretty much all the trees that are there are going to remain. There are not, some of the trees along the front there just for clearance, that are around the current home, but the trees and the screening along Bologna Avenue will remain, and a pretty elaborate landscaping plan around the front of the home there, as you can see. Continue to scroll down for me. Here is the colored rendering of the newly constructed home. This home is going to be about 41 to 4,200 square feet. Obviously going from a 1-level home to a 2-level home. This is the south-facing elevation. Board and batten siding, we do have it. You'll see color and material selections here shortly. But this is representative of the colors and the landscaping as well. This is just the architectural drawings. I think you get a better view from the previous slide. Here's the east elevation. It will have a 3-car side load garage. You do see an entry door, what we call a service door on the side there. This is the rear of the home. We do have a walkout on the right side here. So it is a walkout condition on that side. We are covering the entire foundation with a stone veneer, so there will not be any exposed concrete foundation. Next slide for us. Here's the west elevation. Same thing, stone veneer on the foundation side, windows on the side of the garage that you see on the right-hand side there. The windows, just from previous questions, windows on the second floor there, that little protrusion there that comes out is the buddy bath shared between those two bathrooms, and adjacent to those are the closets. So that's why there's no windows, directly adjacent to that bump out there. And then here's your basement plan. It is an unfinished basement. We'll have a 3-piece rough in, but unfinished at this point. Here's your first floor plan. As you can see, pretty open floor plan, in-law suites. We can continue going down. Second level, 4 bedrooms upstairs. That center area is open to below, 2-story family room, primary suite with walk-in closets there. These are just the section sheets. It is 9-foot basement, 10-foot first floor, 9-foot second floor. And then our materials, the stone is not a false stone, cultured stone. It is a live field stone veneer. We do have a board and batten siding, 30-year architectural shingle for the roof. You have the exterior lighting there, and then our carriage style garage doors. I think that is all that I have. We did send all the letters out, so everybody has received what they've needed.
Okay. Does this conclude your presentation, Mr. Carl?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So at this point, we'll go ahead and open the floor to the community. Reminder, if you're speaking on behalf of a community group, you'll be allowed 5 minutes. Otherwise, you'll be allowed 2. I did see somebody sign up to speak, perhaps multiple.
Mr. Owings from the Roxton Riderwood Association. He gets 5 minutes.
Yes. If you could unmute Mr. Owens, it's his turn.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
All right. So we did receive these plans on a timely basis, and we did mail them out to the appropriate people or contact the appropriate people. And we didn't hear any comments from any neighbors, which is a good sign. So all's good in that department. Yeah, I only had a couple of little questions or concerns that I can make. They're somewhat personal, but you can take them or leave them as needed. The first one is, when you tear the house down, if you can recycle demolition materials or reuse any that are appropriate, we appreciate that. That west side bump out feature, which is part of the buddy bath, I guess as you call them, a closet and a buddy bath. It looks a little unusual. I'm not sure whether it's better just to blend it in and not see it or make it a feature, but that's kind of an architectural question. The other thing is that the colors all seem to be very dark. The roof and the siding and the stone and all that. So it's kind of and I realize there's that's kind of a trend in residential architecture right now, but I don't know whether it's popular or not, but it's something to think about. And the last thing is, in that sort of big living room, with the open space living room, you might consider a fireplace just as a feature to kind of scale that kind of atrium feeling down. So other than that, it's a nice house, and I think it will go well with the neighborhood. That's all.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Owens, and on behalf of the Ruxton Riderwood Association. Department of Planning, has anyone else signed up to speak?
I haven't seen any other requests for this address.
Yeah, that makes sense because Mr. Owens didn't hear any rumbling, so I wouldn't assume anybody else would show up. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the public comment period and proceed to the panel discussion. So let's, we're going to go to Mr. Anderson last on this one.
I'll go first. It's okay.
Because he challenged me last time.
No, actually, I'd like to go first, Joe.
You're up, Mr. Anderson. Go ahead.
I would like to go first, actually. And it's because I would like to rely on some of the other panel members to respond to what I'm going to say. In this case, again, we did not get additional photos of adjacent properties. This is something that we really do like for people to submit. Now, I fortunately have lived in the area for a long time. I drive by here. I have gone on Google Maps. While I do actually have concerns about the size and mass of the house compared to those directly adjacent to it. So unlike the other projects that we'd seen, the houses either directly adjacent to it are not of this scale or are on the same side of the house versus say the first project where most of the houses of different size and scale and mass are distant and across the other street. So if you go down their side of the street, there's only one or two-story houses. And what makes this house appear even bigger are the large gable ends facing the road. Now, I do appreciate that the first floor elevation is below the road elevation by some, I think it's 15 feet, give or take. And then on top of it, and Mr. Owens brought this up, the color does actually, tend to exaggerate the mass a little bit, right? This large block. So my comment is such that I wonder if there isn't a way to, bring this very sheer, large sort of mass, soften it a little bit, bring it down a little bit. And I think part of what does it are the gable ends. Now I know on the right side, you've got, a significant extension. You've got a little bit of that return that can kind of help soften things. But I'm throwing it out there as a concern that I have that this is not really in keeping with a lot of the houses. And is there anything we can do to try to soften that mass and even maybe bring the house down a little? But that's my main concern about what I'm seeing on this elevation.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Carl, do you want to respond in any way to that comment? And perhaps share with the panel if you've looked at other architecture or massing?
We do have several elevations, and I'm actually just kind of thinking through the Kingsport has been our staple product for quite a while. I've been with the company for 8 years. There are some elevations that don't have the triple gables. This was a customer selection. They love the elevation. They love the styling of it. So that's obviously what we've submitted here. But most of the other elevations that we have will have a minimum of one turn gable, most of which have two, or they have like an eyebrow gable where there's kind of two stacked on top of each other. There's no livable space up there. It's just more of a architectural design there.
It almost makes it look like you intend for there to be livable space up there with the size of the gables there and all. It almost looks like compared to other homes, it almost looks like a 3-story house, right? If you look at the other homes along Bologna, most are either 1-story or the second story is under roof. And those homes that do have a second story, and in a lot of places, you see a lot of dormers, right? You see, if you go and, I can show you on Google Maps right now, but you see a lot of the houses on both sides of the road that use more of a dormer approach to living under the roof on the second floor. So, for me, it's a big concern.
Yeah, and I do understand. The point that you had pointed out too is that this home from the first floor elevation does sit about 15 feet below, right? Yeah. So that does help the scenario there quite a bit. I guess we can certainly look at that and address that. It's just I mean, removing those and putting dormers there. We can do dormers. It's just not, it wasn't a customer, suggestion or a want there. I can tell you this elevation is beautiful if you see it in person.
Yeah,
but I
it's
do
not
understand
about
the
the inherent nature of this elevation.
Sure, yeah.
It is about the contextual nature of the context of the neighborhood around it. That's all.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to Mr. Stevens second.
Okay. I'm looking at this south elevation and the dark charcoal vertical siding. I have a problem with that. It would really have been nice if we had illustrations of the existing neighborhood, so we could really get a feel for materials and textures. But as far as the color and the masking, I guess that really affects the mask and how that's really perceived. So I would think, from my perspective, we really need to have a change of color on the material. Maybe that will soften it a lot, something that's more neutral or something that's more white. And I don't know, maybe trying to, I don't know. I'm looking at the gable roofs and do we go back to something that's less than triple? Um, that's something that we might want to consider. But most certainly, you really need to readdress that color that of that particular home. I think. I mean, I'm not sure what else is in that neighborhood that's dark charcoal or that color. I mean, you tell me, but um, that kind of overwhelms, the presence of that home. So, I like Mr. Anderson and the the individual, Mr. Owens, the adjacent neighbor, have a concern about that color of the home. Maybe, and I would really like to hear from the other panelists as far as how the massing is really affecting the neighborhood.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Stevens. Does Mr. Carl want to respond in terms of the adjacent houses and if you believe this fits in and conforms with the color of the neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, my main response there is that there are 2 or 3 houses in the local, very close vicinity along Bologna that are darker in color. Now, mind you, this is an area where there are some older houses. There's been, a lot of, as you can see in the area just from this meeting, there's been a lot of tear downs, remodels, those kind of things. And there are some darker homes in the area, but there are some existing older homes with lighter siding. It does blend with the newer homes that are in the area, but there are older existing homes in the area as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's go to Mr. Sharma next.
Okay, the comment I have, Mr. Stevens already said it. The exterior color is a concern. Wonder if it's in harmony with the other houses. And as mentioned, that there are some, Mr. Carl mentioned, there are some houses with a darker color. The question is that are they majority or just a couple of them? If they are just 1 or 2 houses with a darker color, we should still go with the majority of the houses and smear color blending in harmony with other colors. So that's the only concern I have.
All right, thanks, Mr. Sharma. Let's go to Mr. Walters next.
Thanks, Joe. I'm going to offer a slightly different take. The charcoal color doesn't bother me when I look at the neighborhood from admittedly from Google Earth. I see a smattering of different architectural styles, exterior materials, and colors associated with those houses. I want to. I do agree that the building does seem large, but I wanted to go back to the site plan if we could real quick, because I think the south elevation is the least to me issue that with the building itself. Actually, to the one that with the tree removal. I'm sorry, maybe it's the one before this. Oh yeah, perfect. So what I'm having trouble understanding from this diagram is which of the trees that are in that kind of amorphous squiggle towards Bologna are staying. Because so right now there are some very large mature trees, and I'm having trouble of understanding from this drawing if the intent is to keep those and which of the trees you're removing. And I'm asking because with the house being set back and lower from the road, and then if the screening stays with those mature trees, the the south elevation to me is a less concern. And follow to the second question to get to is after we address this to look at the north elevation, which is really the biggest elevation of the four.
Sure. From the legend here, all the red X's are the existing trees that will be removed. A lot of this is to get proper grade and flow, sheet flow from rainwater. As you can see towards the north elevation there, you can kind of see where that swale starts there. In order to grade that properly, some of those trees need to come out for proper grade. All the trees, we always try to leave as many trees as we can. These need to come out just so that we can properly grade the yard, in combination with the house. So all of the screening in the front, you can see the boulder kind of oblong shapes, along Bologna. We are keeping all of those. It's more the trees behind so that we can get that grading appropriate.
Yes, I guess my question is, the very large mature pine trees, it looks like from Google Earth that are, 40 to plus feet tall that are along the road. Are those trees in the buffer to stay, or are they in the ones that are being removed?
They are to stay. The ones directly along Bologna will stay.
So it's kind of I guess it's the front of the house from the road. Okay. Then the second part to my question is the south part of the house is less concerning to me. I understand the gable accentuating the height, but I think it also breaks it up a little bit from a massing perspective. But if we go to the north elevation where we actually have the most of the house, then plus the lack of any screening around it. If we're looking at the gables again, I think we should look at the gable in this view that's running left right, that you're seeing the long side of. And is there a way to actually start to bring that scale of the house down so that the largest side of the house, which is the north elevation, it actually starts to affect the scale of that part? It's the gables on the south end from a scale perspective, I think are okay. I understand that the house is big, but it gives it the articulation and the breakdown that the north side doesn't have, right? So when you're looking at this, you only have the one gable offset to the right of center, but it's the main bulk of the house that's causing the massing to feel, to me, larger on this side than it does on the south side.
So just for clarification, is your suggestion to add a gable on the left side of the north elevation?
My suggestion would be if, Mario, if you could go to the either east or west elevation, is to take, yeah, so
Okay.
perfect. This main gable here, right? So, and bring that scale down, because if you, the way that I read the elevation from the south, that I don't believe this is quite drawn. Let's see. No. Yeah, it's behind, right? So, let's see, north, south, east. So it's that, it's, you know, it's that long, the highest roof in this on the south elevation. You see it on the elevation below in east. It's that I think from a scale perspective is the one that needs to be brought down.
Okay, so if we're looking at the south elevation, you're talking about taking generally speaking, the peak of the house, the right to left gable,
Yeah,
down to match
correct.
the front gable.
To bring it down lower.
Yeah, we can. That would be a pretty easy fix, just to adjust the slope of the roof. That would be a pretty easy fix. I mean, if everybody's okay with that,
Then
that would be a very
I'll let
simple.
my fellow panel members, debate whether that affects the scale enough from their concern. But that's my, I guess, contrarian view of the building.
All right, thanks, Mr. Walters. And I think we're going to the appropriate panel member next to comment on that, Mr. Can.
Thank you. I guess I want to go back to some of the comments that have been said and offer my thoughts. I think that the south elevation, while it does sit down from the street, I think that the two smaller gables can be rather simply changed if they want to put dormers up there to sort of break the scale of that big roof. But I think that would simplify this elevation appropriately. I have some concern over the dark siding, but I'm not as overall not as concerned about that. And again, it's well screened and it's back off the street reasonably. And I think simplifying the scale of this front elevation will offset at least my concerns about the dark color. I would, as a minor issue, I think the sort of assortment of windows, particularly on the left and right of the main door, seem a little bit awkward and different. I think the other windows have been successful the way you've done it. I'm not sure why we've created those little side lights or, the little windows at the very top of those other windows and why they wouldn't be similar. But I think simplifying this would, in addition to the other comments, would be an improvement.
Can I address one thing? If you can scroll down just a bit to the first floor plan, keep going down. The one reason, keep going. Okay. If you can zoom in a bit on that elevation, the reason for those gables is that there is a 2-foot protrusion out for the living room, dining room, and you'll see that it also transfers to the second floor. So that transition in roof line with that protruding out 2 feet is the purpose of those turn gables. If not, we would have to adjust the pitch of the roof a little bit more to protrude out, which would the angling of the roof, we'd have to have a lot more elevation change to the surface of the roof in order to get that extra 2-foot extension there. And I should have pointed that out before. I just thought about that. But as you can see, if you scroll down one more page, that 2-foot extension does transfer to that second level. So it's more of a footprint with that extension out for that gable, similar to the rear gable behind the rear family room there. that's the purpose of that turn gable there. Again, as Mr. Andrews said, lowering the main pitch of the roof would certainly bring the overall scale of the roof line down, but the ability to remove those gables would cause an architectural issue. Okay, the windows and removing the transom windows on the first floor, like you were talking about from that front elevation, that was an architectural design. That could very simply be filled in, right? We can take the windows out and
I understand.
lower the framing.
But does the option exist to expand the second floor in plan and simplify what you're doing above the entrance?
So you're saying extend that full 2-story foyer, that front wall, extend that out to the same 2 feet? It just becomes a very flush elevation with not a lot of depth there. But I mean, that is our typical elevation 1. There's just not a whole lot of depth and not a whole lot of depth to the feeling of that elevation. It's very flat and symmetrical.
Anything else, Mr. Can?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Could you go back, Marta, to the colored elevation? I think.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second because the owner would like to speak. So whenever you're finished, if we could, he chatted after we had closed the.
That's fine. I know it's tricky to get into the chat, so we'll go ahead
Yeah.
and open that back up. So I'm hearing a lot of concerns about the scale, and I think this elevation colored rendering gives a false impression of what this will be from the road. This house looks like it's up, right, 2, 3, 4 feet from the road, but in reality, there's a lot of vegetation from the road looking in, and because of the grades, it would sit, somewhere in that 13 to 15 feet down. So in reality, you're essentially above the door, right, with existing grade and where it will be. And I think that this feels very, very big. But I think in reality, if it's done based upon the grades and where the road is combined with the vegetation, I think it's going to be a different feel. So I did want to make that comment just to get everybody thinking and orient the team. That was my comment. Let's go ahead and open this up to I think it's Mr. and Mrs. Hupp, who would be the owner.
Okay, and they get 2 minutes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Hi, I'm Mike Hupp. I'm the current owner of the house that is redoing it. I've lived there for 20 plus years, more than every neighbor but one. Couple comments about the color. Of hearing a lot about it. We picked this color because it's almost the exact same color that our neighbor just did the remodel across the street and up on the hill. So, other than that, most of the brick, 3 of the houses are brick front and sidings on the side of one, and one's a Tudor, right, with his wood and stucco, right. So there's all kinds of different looks and feels as neighbors around me. So we chose this just because they turned the color dark across the street and it looks so awesome, right. That's the reason for the color. My neighbors love the color. No one's ejected. I've shared this with all my neighbors that I know well. About the size of the house. Yeah, we're sitting, probably like 20 feet off the road down. So we'll actually, most likely, I'm not an expert at this, but most likely our house will be lower than the house on the left-hand side. of the road on the same side of my road, which is a brick, a large brick, I guess colonial you would call it, right? Because they sit up on a higher elevation than us, and it's a 2-story plus dormer. So in size wise, the height, I don't think it's going to be that much different than the house next to me. And in size of the house itself, there is a 6,500, 75,000 or 7,000 square foot house that half the basement sits above ground directly behind me. That's a box that you approved about 10 years ago, right? That we look upon. And so but it's a good half acre down the road, down the driveway. And it's all shielded. The whole backyard is all shielded by trees around most sides. So we don't see each other, right? I mean, the neighbors, most of the front and back is shielded by greenery, and they're not going away. So we don't believe on taking the 50-year-old Gorilla Oak pines down. They're beautiful. So
Time.
done.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hupp. Okay, I think one of the things I heard from Mr. Hupp is lots of vegetation around the property, appropriate screening. Unfortunately, I didn't see that on the plan. So I think a lot of the panel members had some questions about what's going to be on the sides, what's going to be on the rear, and there wasn't appropriate detail there. So we're now at the stage where we're going to make a motion. So again, we can make a motion to approve the project, approve the project with conditions, and those conditions would be worked out administratively with the Department of Planning. Or if we think that the comments are too big, we could give the applicant specific instructions on what to change and how to change it, not how to change it, what to change, and resubmit for a second public meeting. So I would now open it up to someone who would like to make a motion. And again, as a reminder, be very, very specific in the conditions in the motion.
Joe, I'm willing to make a motion, but before I do, can I just say something that maybe helps the motion get through? Because
sure.
One of the things that came up, Scott brought it up, and even though he said he was contrarian, he and I actually came to a similar conclusion about something that would help, and that would be the lowering of the top of the main east-west gable there. That roof, bring it down a little bit because it does sit quite proud of the front gables. I actually didn't suggest that, but it was something that occurred to me as something that would help. So I'm going to say that, and that is why part of the motion would include that piece of the puzzle. I will say, because I brought it up as well, the color of the house in the 2D version that we get to look at it does tend to hide a little bit of some of the in and out that is the front of the house, right? So to be fair, now I will say that the homes to the left and the right are of smaller scale and of more neutral color than the one across the street that did have a different color, which does look great, by the way. And I would like to say to Mr. Hupp, you may notice I said nothing about the rear elevation, having been part of the process that approved the house on the flag lot behind you. I have no concerns about the rear of the house as it looks at the house that was built on the flag lot behind you. It looks like you might put a deck out there at some point afterwards as well. So with that being said, I think what makes a lot of sense is to take a look at the impact of bringing that roof down and have folks look at it and see if that is enough, for everybody, and given all the other comments about screening and the like. So I'm gonna make a motion that says that we would approve the project with the caveat that the main roof is lowered, and that the project be resubmitted for staff review once that happens, to see if it adequately addresses the concerns about the scale of the house.
Okay, Department of Planning, is that motion with conditions clearly stated?
So if I heard correctly, it's a conditional approval to look at lowering the roof line of the house and submit back to planning staff for an administrative follow-up. Correct?
That's right.
Okay. That is the motion on the floor.
Okay. There is a motion on the floor. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second. I second.
Mr. Stevens seconds. Thank you. All in favor of that motion, come off of mute and say aye.
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 Aye as well. Any opposed to that motion? Hearing none. So the motion carries, approved with condition, and the condition is to look at the roof line and bring a modified plan back for Department of Planning review. Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so at this time, we're going to proceed to the fourth item on the agenda. And as I mentioned before, I am affiliated with this project, so I will recuse myself. I'm going to turn my camera off and microphone off, and Mr. Donald Can will step in and chair for this project. Mr. Can, the floor is yours.
Joe, before we get, I'm sorry, Donald, before we start, is anybody in need of maybe like a 2 or 3 minute break just because we're going
I
on?
was going to suggest the same thing. We take a couple minutes because we have one more little project to deal with.
Yes. So how about we come back at 7:45?
Wonderful.
7:42 now. Thank you.
Everybody back? Presumably. So we have an opportunity to review a major new project for downtown Towson. And we appreciate the detail of the presentation. So if the applicant would like to proceed with their review of this package, that would be great.
Hi there. My name is Nathan Voth. I'm with Whiting Turner. Just give a little introduction before our design team takes over with the presentation. So I represent both the owner and the contractor for the project. We're really excited to have this project here before the design review panel. So I just want to give a tiny little brief background. As many of you may know, Whiting Turner was founded here in Baltimore back in 1909. And even though, we are a national company now with over 5,000 employees, we've kept our headquarters based in Baltimore, since our inception. So we actually moved our headquarters from downtown Baltimore out into Towson in our current location at Hampton Plaza in the 1970s. So we've basically been a fixture in Baltimore County for the last 50 years. Now with this new project, we're kind of making a brand new commitment to staying in Towson for at least the next 50 years or beyond. So we're really excited to do that kind of in a partnership with Goucher, since we'll be leasing, having an extended ground lease with them to build this property here. So I'm going to turn it over to the design team to kind of take over from here and present the project for you.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Well, good evening, everyone. And we're happy to back clean up on this. We know it's been a lot of reviews tonight. So we're going to go through this in detail, but try and make it as expeditious as possible. So good evening, my name is JJ Rivers. I'm the principal in charge for this project for Gensler, and presenting with me tonight is Duncan Lyons, who is the design director, also a principal with Gensler. If we go to the next slide, what we wanted to start out by saying is that we've assembled a world-class design team here, a lot of different consultant trades and partners who are very well versed in this typology, and clearly the magnitude of impact that a project like this has within the surrounding community and context. As Nathan mentioned, we're thrilled being part of the Baltimore Towson community, each one of these firms for decades, to have Whiting Turner choose to keep their headquarters in Towson and really make that commitment to the community. So if you go to the next slide, what we're going to do tonight is walk through a series of different kind of chapters of the story, if you will, starting out kind of with the larger context, then going to the landscape, talking about how the landscape plays a very large and important role in the overall shaping of the architecture. So at the end of this presentation, we're going to show some pretty pictures showing the look and feel and design, the aesthetic of the building. So if we go to the next slide here, just a little overview, a project description. As Nathan mentioned, this is going to be a new headquarters for Whiting Turner, moving from their existing one down the street. It's going to comprise of 3 buildings, which we'll show on a site plan in a second here, but really trying to fit the buildings into the landscape in a very, very unique way that is contextually significant to Goucher College. If we go to the next slide, just to kind of orient everyone, we've identified where the site is in the broader context. You see to the northeast, essentially the plan right on the page here, we have Goucher College's campus. So Whiting Turner is leasing the site in green from Goucher College to put these buildings on. You see it's along Delaney Valley Road, which also has some very significant multifamily office and hospitality uses to kind of the west and south of the site. Zooming in on the next page, we looked at the zoning map, trying to conform with existing zoning standards. And then on the page after that, we went around the site and spent a lot of time looking at all of the existing features. If you go to the next slide for me. Thank you very much. Looking at all the existing features, something that strikes you when you first enter into the existing site here is just how lush and how green it is. There's a beautiful canopy of trees that really kind of dominate the site. Not a lot of underbrush. So what we've tried to do with the architecture is really situate the buildings in a very responsible way to limit the impact on the overall existing vegetation. If you go to the next slide, you start to see the intentionality that we've taken in terms of placing the buildings on the site itself. We've held the majority of the buildings to the southern edge of the site along Southerly Road. There's an existing building basically right where the number 1 is on site. And just to kind of orient everyone, we do have these 3 buildings. The number 1 is the headquarter office building. The number 2 is a multi-purpose building that will house a series of different amenities. And number 3 is a parking garage to ensure that there's sufficient parking for the employees and visitors who will be using this site. If you go to the next page, I'm going to talk a little bit about the grading here. There's a lot of grading and a lot of elevation change on the site itself. And what we've done is also position these buildings not only to maintain as many as the existing trees and kind of that grove experience, but also leverage the landscape to our benefit and try and situate some of the buildings into the landscape itself, taking advantage of those elevation changes to make the massing read actually slightly smaller than it is. We did this particularly with the parking garage to really make sure that this parking garage has a very different feel than some of the others that you see all across, specifically on the other side of Southerly Road here. But it's actually as minimal as we possibly can. On the next page, we took great care with our partners at Bowler and Mahan Reichel to start to really understand what is the landscape here that we want to create for the employees of Whiting Turner. You're going to see there's not a ton of pervious paving relative to the overall acreage of the site itself. We've kept as much of the open grass landscape as we possibly can, and all of the darker lines on this page in terms of the outlines of trees are new plantings that we're intending to place. Again, we want to keep the character from the road as similar as it was to the day we found the site. And that's planting a lot of native vegetations to really kind of complement the architecture that you'll see in just a moment. If you go to the next page, this is the existing trees, and I want to kind of make sure everyone sees kind of the building that is existing on the campus. There's existing parking structure in terms of a surface lot, as well as the existing building. And again, trying to use that whole section of the site itself to situate these buildings to have as minimal disruption on the landscape as we possibly can. On the next page, we're going to take a look at the existing trees to remain. So everything here in the dark red is going to be the trees that we're saving. The trees shaded in kind of the grayish tone are trees that we're going to remove. Some because they are literally where the new buildings will be placed, and some because they're either too close or the construction would disrupt those trees. But I want to call people's attention back to a couple of slides before, where all of the existing trees that will be taken down, we're being very intentional with the landscaping plan to replant even more trees than what exists today, and do so in a very thorough way to kind of complement that architecture. If we go to the next page, we've started to identify what's happening in terms of site paving, where are any walls to kind of navigate some of the elevation change, as well as where are any steps. So we've color coded this map in terms of the different types of materials that we'll be expecting to use on this site itself. To give everyone a better sense of what that actually may look and feel, if you go to the next page, we've started to gather some precedent imagery. And as we get into the architecture, Duncan's going to talk a lot more about the materiality, but we've taken some context cues from the community, specifically Goucher campus, to really tie into the architecture to make it seamless, and also pick up on the quality and the longevity that we know this building will have. So some of the materials here in terms of concrete pavers, wood decking, Butler stone will feature prominently. That's actually the stone that you see most often on Goucher Campus's college, as well as some kind of more natural paving structures. Call your attention to the top right image, the decomposed granite or stone dust, using that as kind of a meandering path through the site for employees to use. If you go to the next page, we've also taken a look at how do you actually navigate some of the grade change here. As I mentioned, the elevation changes are pretty steep and robust. So as we're trying to embed the architecture into the landscape to kind of soften the overall height of the buildings that we're placing, we're also looking to use some more natural materials and integrate these steps as though they were, always part of the natural landscape. If we go to the next page, we also took great care in the site lighting, as well as having very minimal signage on this campus as well. So all of the colored dots that you see represent different types of lighting. We have pole lights as well as bollard lights. Bollard lights being kind of more knee or waist high lights that kind of light paths directly in front of you. The yellow dots in the center here are actually the only pole lights that are on the northern side of the buildings. And we've done so intentionally to kind of light what will be a kind of a community gathering zone in the center of this space for the Whiting Turner employees to enjoy. And we intentionally had those lights situated kind of in this ring because the light won't actually be seen from many of the roads because the buildings themselves act as a natural buffer. Something else to consider with this, the lease terms between Whiting Turner and Goucher College are such that the boundary of where any interventions will be actually are on the inside of the existing sidewalk that Goucher College has just put in. So you see ringing the northern edge of Goucher Campus Road, as well as Delaney Valley. There's a sidewalk that's there. We're actually, our scope is limited to the inside ring of that sidewalk itself, hence where you see the colored dots in our interventions. On the next page, we start to identify where some site furnishings can go into effect here. We've really taken into consideration the different types of experiences that we want to create for the employees on this site. And similar to the previous pages on the next page, you're going to find a diversity of precedent imagery that start to showcase where and how some of the experiences might take form. We're thinking about having linear benches. We're thinking about having some freestanding furniture, such as, American lounge chairs. We're taking great care in terms of what are the tabletop experiences for folks to work outside during the day with some tables, picnic table experiences, all to kind of fit into that broader experience around how you integrate folks with the natural landscape. On the next page, you see some additional ones. These get to a little bit more of a look and feel about some of the more minute details. When we are planting trees, that are on top or adjacent to some of the pavings, how are we treating those? So you see the tree gate experiences that kind of weave into the pavings patterns as well. As well as providing some other natural wood accents in the landscape here, like you see kind of the wood top rail to the image directly to the left. So again, trying to create a very diverse array of experiences and architectural embellishments to the site itself. On the next page, working with Mahan Raikal, our landscape architect partner, we're very, very cognizant of how do we kind of reimagine this site with a series of differentiated native planting species here. Some grasses, some foliage, some trees that are, again, native to the area that will be planted to, again, complement the architecture that we're going to look at in just a second. So in the next two pages are two separate cross sections. These, again, just highlight the elevational changes across the site and how the buildings integrate. I kind of discussed this before, but the section that you see before, as seen on the key plan on the right with that orange line in terms of where we cut, are integrating the two largest buildings on site into the grade itself to start to complement and lessen the visual height of the buildings on the campus. The page or the slide on the next page, if you go down more, thank you, takes a north-south section cut as well, and you start to see how the building itself is actually situated relatively deep into the landscape to again achieve some of the goals and the design vision that we were talking about. So a lot of the site and tech and technical aspects were shared, but I'm going to let Duncan take over from here and start to talk about some of the architectural characteristics that we're incredibly excited about for this area.
Yeah, thanks, JJ. I'm Duncan Lyons. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the architectural concepts and then talk a little bit about kind of the detail and materiality of the buildings that we're proposing. What you can see in this aerial view is that the headquarters building, which is sort of central of the three buildings on the site, is it's quite a large building. It's 220,000 square feet. It has a large floor plate, but it's not just a box. We deliberately shaped the building with these angled facades and these changes in plane for the surfaces. The planes change across the plan, but also between floors. There's a way of breaking up the scale of the building and making it feel less like a monolithic or kind of sheer cliff-like facade for the surrounding, from the views from the surrounding streets, which I can show you in a moment. If we go to the next page, you can see that you can see sort of the play of angles across the face of the facade, and also the fact that while the building has a lot of glass to really maximize views out into the wooded areas around the building, it's also got some deep overhangs, and part of that is, again, reducing that sort of sheer face of the building, but also shading the glass. This is actually the facade that faces south, facing Southerly Road. This is kind of the forecourt entry that people will use as they arrive at the building. And these overhangs are shading the glass so that the building doesn't get as hot and consequently uses a lot less energy than it would otherwise need to. If we go to the next page, the next couple of pages are showing sort of the entry experience. If you had parked in the garage and then you were crossing over from the garage toward the headquarters building, this is the view that you get. And you'll see that right away, you're greeted with a significant amount of the Butler stone facade, which is something, again, that is creating that tie back to the Goucher College campus. It's the stone that's used on many of the buildings there. And while we're not trying to make this building seem as if it's part of the campus, we want to really make it sort of fit harmoniously with the architecture of the campus. So you'll see common themes of natural stone, of wood, of glass, and of like a dark bronze metal. Those are kind of the primary materials, and you see them from this very first moment when you arrive at the site, and then they recur throughout the buildings. If you go to the next page, the next page is again, if you've parked your car, you're a visitor, you're an employee, you're coming to work, this is the other end of the garage that you would exit from. We have a covered walkway that connects you to the entrance to the building and also to a cafe that is located at this most prominent corner of the building in the site. And then on the next page, one of the things that we've been kind of excited about in this design is, while we do have a building that fronts Southerly Road and has its front door facing Southerly Road, we also have a second entry, and we've been referring to this as the Grove entry. And this is actually the entry that we think most people will use, particularly the Whiting Turner employees who work in the building. They'll park in the garage, they'll exit the garage, and they'll actually walk to the building through this landscape and experience the beautiful grove of trees and the beautiful landscape features of the project as part of their like everyday experience of coming to work and entering the building. And we wanted that to be really important in terms of just how the building is experienced. So there's a front door facing the street, but there's also a front door facing the grove of trees, and making that experience central to the experience of a campus. We really are thinking of this not as just a building, but as a campus of 3 buildings, and thinking about how people move between those buildings and experience the beauty of the natural landscape in between their visits to the different parts of the campus. If you go to the next page, we're just doing sort of a little walk around the project right now. So this is if you had walked along the side of the headquarters and then come down to what we're calling the multi-purpose building, which is the building on your right in this view. And this is a building that has food service, dining facilities for the headquarters. It has the gym, health and wellness kind of amenities for the employees. It has a multi-purpose room with classrooms and training centers for the county employees. And this building is we think is going to be a very special building. It's actually going to have a mass timber structure. So the structure of the building is entirely wood. The floor slabs are cross-laminated timber panels. The columns are mass timber laminated columns that actually sort of look like trees. They have like a stem and then or a trunk and then branches that support the roof. And the idea is that we've got this big overhanging roof where you see the wood beams extending out and covering a portion of the outside terrace space. And so it's almost like the tree columns within the building are supporting a canopy, and then the amenities that the staff use are sheltered and protected and housed below that canopy. So that's kind of our concept for how we're taking the natural environment and letting that inform the design of the buildings of the campus as well, so that the two really relate to one another in that way. If you go to the next page, we are headed now into a view from Delaney Valley Road. We've got a view looking north. If you're driving north on Delaney, this is the corner of Delaney and Southerly. So this is the building, and you can see that it's really a 4-story building plus a basement. This corner of the building is the point where it is the highest above grade, but we've tried to keep that height down. And we've also tried to shift the planes of the facade back and forth so it doesn't feel like a sheer wall. It feels more broken down and lower in scale. And the trees that you're seeing here, some of which are existing and some of which will be newly planted, we think that as those trees mature, that they will really provide some screening of the building as well. So the building does not feel too overpowering. Even though this is a headquarters, Whiting Turner want to take a very sort of low-key and modest approach in terms of how they present themselves to the community. And the goal from them has always been to make this building feel like it fits into the natural landscape and complements it rather than something which is overpowering. This is the view if you were driving south on Delaney Valley Road. And what you're seeing in the foreground is the multi-purpose building. So again, you're seeing Butler stone facade. You're seeing a clear story of glass above that stone facade. And then you'll be able to see into the building and see the underside of this wooden structure that is supporting the roof of the building. You can even get a little glimpse there of those tree columns that I was describing earlier that are supporting the building. So the idea is to, take the diagram of a tree and represent that within the architecture. On the next page, we're showing the kind of material palette that we'll be using. You can see the Butler stone featured prominently here, the wood from the mass timber structure. And then on the headquarters building, the exterior overhangs and the soffits and the fascias are going to be a wood finish. They're not actually solid wood. They're a metal panel so that they will hold up and not degrade and not weather over time, but they will have a wood-like appearance. So it really ties again the warm tones of the Butler stone, the warm tones of the wood structure, and then the warm tones also of these exterior wood fascias around the building.
So the next few slides here are where the rendering is talking much more about this experience. We wanted to provide the technical elevations for all of these plans. We start to call out where those materials that Duncan was mentioning start to show up on the facades themselves. So we could probably roll through these after looking at the renderings, talking about the headquarter building, and then we go to the multi-purpose building in which you see a little bit more of the Butler stone kind of ground it. On all 4 sides, and the canopy structure Duncan was alluding to. And then finally we get to the parking garage elevations. Something that you saw a little bit of in the renderings was the treatment of the parking garage itself. Driving around Towson, as I'm sure many of us have done over the years, you see a lot of precast parking garage that are incredibly overbearing with the structural kind of facades that you see. We're taking a little bit more of a tactful approach here in terms of the screening elements that we're introducing on the facade itself, having some of the stair towers that you see on the left and right hand side present themselves in a I think a more contemporary way to shield some of the parking that will obviously is needed and will have to happen behind that. So if we keep cruising through here, we've also included some floor plan elevations. As Duncan mentioned, having some of these larger floor plates afforded us to have a shorter building, which we thought is a benefit in 2 ways. 1, it creates the massing to be much more integrated into the canopy of the trees. And 2, it creates a wonderful working experience for collaboration for the Whiting Turner employees. So these go through each of the different floor levels as we move through the building. Something else that you'll notice is we have a couple terraces in the building itself to allow for Whiting Turner employees to engage for outdoor working even within the building itself. And then finally, we get to a roof plan on not this page, but the next page. It starts to show some of the hidden mechanical equipment and the optionality for having a PV solar array to help with some energy offsets that is still under exploration. If we keep cruising through, we also hit some of the multi-purpose floor plans, as Duncan was alluding to. Be trying to make this a gem of a building and include some amenities. So if we go to the next page.
Oh, there we are.
There we go. Okay. We start to see the ground floor plan, the basement plan of the multi-purpose building, hosting some cafe and servery functions on the first floor, and then on the second floor, some fitness on the next page. Thank you. Some fitness and other kind of campus amenities that we see many other office campuses having across the country. And then lastly, on the following few pages are a series of plans for the parking garage itself. Just a reminder that we've embedded the parking garage into the grade as much as we can to reduce that impact, and then potentially having PV arrays on the top to again provide resiliency features. And then lastly, just looking at some site and lighting concepts for the office building, very, very minimal lighting on the exterior just to kind of accentuate some of the materiality of the Butler stone to tie back to Goucher.
Yeah, I think
Cable's
it's fair to
College.
say that, we're trying to keep the lighting really low, and most of the light is going to be directed, directed downward or directed at a facade. The screening material, which we're proposing, which is a kind of a stainless steel cable mesh for the facade, and the Butler stone are both materials that we're going to try to graze with light so that at night you see the material, not the parking spaces and the cars that are behind it. And again, really accenting the warm tones of the Butler stone, the wood soffits on the building, as a way of really trying to give this building a very natural, warm feeling, and really trying to use natural materials so that the building, we hope, really will have kind of a timeless quality. I mean, we were talking a lot, hearing a lot earlier discussions about what's the right color for a house, and what we're trying to do is say let's not pick a color, let's pick a natural material that, because it has its own natural warm colors, those become the tones of the architecture, and the building itself is not at risk of going in or out of fashion or in and out of style, but by using natural materials it takes on sort of a timeless quality. And I think that to us seems like it's a very fitting approach to Whiting Turner's commitment to Towson and to the site, which is obviously something that has been in place for many decades and will be in place for many decades in the future. So we want the building to have a timeless quality for that reason, because it represents that commitment.
So that brings our presentation to a close, and just a thank you to the entire panel, and Marta, your expert driving. We know that was a lot of content to walk through, and we tried to go as efficiently as possible. So thank you all very, very much, and we're incredibly excited about the opportunities for this project for the broader Towson community.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, and I think appreciate the thoroughness of the presentation, so that we have enough information to hopefully give some good thought to it from the panel side. We also have comments from the Department of Planning that I think is appropriate to read those now, right?
No, I think we do speakers first.
Okay. Do we have anybody signed up to speak?
We do. We have two. We have Mr. Ellis from on behalf of the Towson Gate condominium. He will get 5 minutes, and then Miss Knoppenberger will have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
So Mr. Ellis can go first. If you could unmute him, Marta.
Just did. Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Can you? Okay, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm going to defer and give the 5-minute period to Mary Knoppenberger, and then I'll listen carefully to what she says it may mirror what I was going to say. I was not aware that she had signed up, although we both said we would. So I'll give my time over to Mary.
Okay, so on behalf of the Towson Gate Condominium Incorporated,
Yes.
Ms. Knoppenberger will speak for 5 minutes. Okay.
Thank you for that, Marty. And if I have any time left, it will go to you. Yeah, I'm Mary Knoppenberger, the president of the Towson Gate Condominium Association. And we've seen a lot of growth over the last, I guess 10 years or so within the Towson area, particularly across the street from this where this building is going to be placed. We've got lots and lots of homes, condominiums and apartments that are right across on the other side of the street of Delaney Valley Road, creating quite a mess of traffic when you get to Southerly Road and Delaney Valley Road. That Southerly Road that the new building is going to be facing is actually just 2 lanes, 1 lane in each direction. There is no traffic light at Delaney Valley Road and Southerly. So one of my questions is, what are you going to do about the traffic? Is there going to be a traffic light? Something will need to happen because we realize that, I think I heard 350 employees, and while they might not all be getting out of work at the same time, it's going to be relatively around the same time. And we know that we have about 2 hours of traffic rush in the morning and then in the evening. So it's also the fact that we're going to have time elements here where it's busy all over Towson will also be very busy in this section. Across the street from One Southerly Road, facing the new building is the Sheraton Hotel, as you know, and that's a high rise. It's also connected to another high rise office building. There's also more office buildings to the southern side of the Sheraton. So it's a heavily congested area. Next question would be, the employees are going to be coming into the into work into the garage. My question is, what route will they take? Will they be able to take the entrance at Goucher College entrance, or will it happen on Southerly Road? Let's see what else. There were 2 questions. And what are there, I guess, yeah, that also includes, are there plans for widening Southerly Road was another question I had. Is there plans for a traffic light? See, and can you tell me what the multi-purpose room is? That's my last, the multi-purpose building and what that is for. And really, that's all I have for now. I'm going to hand it over to Marty.
Okay, Mr. Ellis, you will get 2 minutes to speak.
I very carefully listened to the presentation. It was wonderful. As a former architect and a 52-year lawyer, I understand, and you have to, Whiting Turner has to understand, Towson Gate's not looking to dish this project. It's wonderful. The problem is the practicality of traffic on Southerly and Delaney Valley. And where I see the parking garage positioned, it appears in the presentation that there would be heavy traffic on Southerly entering into the garage. And I guess dovetailing on what Mary asked, would you anticipate that employees of Whiting Turner plus the general public population coming to it, would they enter on Goucher College Road and then into the garage and then walk to whatever they're going to, the office building or the multi-purpose building? I'm also going to tell you that if you certified, you being Whiting Turner, certified that you sent the material or the site plan to everyone involved, Towson Gate never got it. We only got it through third party, and it was a truncated attempt at a site plan. So one question I have is this presentation tonight, could we as Towson Gate condominium get a copy of it? Because it's very helpful. That's all I have.
Okay, that concludes the speakers, Mr. Khan. And on behalf of the Department of Planning, if you would like to answer some of these questions, I'd be happy as Chief of Development Review to answer some of these questions about notice and traffic before the panel members get into their commentary, if you'd like me to. Would you like me to do that, Donald? If you're speaking, you're muted.
Donald, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, just to answer a couple of questions and to reiterate, the role of the design review panel here this evening is to review the merits of the project that the panel is responsible for, and that does not include traffic. A traffic study will be conducted by the county reviewing agency, which is DPW, as well as State Highway Administration, because Delaney Valley Road is a state road. So the traffic issues will be mitigated and reviewed with those authoritative agencies. As far as who's required to be notified for design review panel projects, it's all adjacent property owners, as well as associations that are identified through our community association registry within the Department of Planning. If you are requesting a package, we're happy to furnish that with you after the meeting this evening. But as far as notice, it's all adjacent property owners which touch the property, as well as across the street and others that the Department of Planning identifies. This project will also get a full review by county agencies. I believe there's already an existing development plan for the Goucher campus, and so this will be a plan refinement, and they will have to go through that development review process. So any pertinent issues related to traffic, stormwater management, environmental, things of that nature will be done by the appropriate agencies. So that concludes what I wanted to just touch on some of the questions that were raised by the community members. Thank you.
Thank you. You also note that there are several entrances to the parking garage, one that would come off of Goucher where there, which does have a traffic signal at Delaney Valley Road, and then the other off of Southerly Road. So there are options for folks that can get out at an existing traffic signal. So anybody else has signed up to speak?
I don't see any further requests.
Okay, very good. So let's move on to the staff report, please.
Thank you, Donald. So the Department of Planning prepared this report based on the Downtown Towson Overlay District guidelines and master plan and comprehensive manual of development policies. And I would like to start with environmental sustainability. Staff cannot recommend approval of environmental sustainability at this time, subject to the following conditions. Number one, the 3D renderings are inconsistent with the landscape plan as they show more trees than are proposed on the landscape plan. The proposed site lighting and signage plan on page 16 of the submittal package identifies existing 1000 Street pole lights along Dulaney Valley Road that are in fact not present on site. Please ensure that all drawings and plans are consistent and accurately reflect both the existing conditions and the proposed development. Number two, incorporate street trees and lights along Dulaney Valley Road between the road and the proposed sidewalk in accordance with the DTD guidelines. Number three, move the multipurpose building slightly farther from Dulaney Valley Road to allow for street trees per DTD guidelines and to maximize the preservation of existing trees. Number four, existing trees shall be preserved to the maximum extent possible. All trees proposed for removal shall be documented on the plan by a registered landscape architect. If a mature tree is removed as per Baltimore County zoning regulations, multiple trees with diameters that adds up to the diameter of the tree being removed shall be planted on site or elsewhere in the DT district, provided a location is available. If another location is not available, a fee in lieu shall be paid to cover the cost of the replacement trees and for installation of the trees only, which this fee shall be used with the downtown Towson overlay district. Number five, label on the plan all trees located in the public right-of-way. If any existing trees located in the public right-of-way proposed to be removed, coordinate with the DPWT and the county landscape architect on the removal of these trees. Number six, demonstrate how the proposed development will achieve LEED standards. Block configuration design, staff cannot recommend approval subject to the following conditions. Number one, again, move the multipurpose building slightly farther from Dulaney Valley Road. And number two, incorporate street trees and lights along Dulaney Valley Road. In terms of parking, staff recommends approval. Subject to the following conditions. Number one, incorporate additional architectural elements to enhance the proposed parking structure design. Number two, clarify how many parking spaces are required for the proposed use of the site. In terms of downtown open space, staff recommends approval subject to the following conditions. Number one, incorporate street trees and lights along Dulaney Valley Road. It's again the same from the previous comments. And incorporate, number two, incorporate outdoor sitting areas, benches at the main entrance along Southerly Road. Number three, specify the number of bike racks to be provided. And number four, the Department of Planning requests that the final landscape plan be submitted to the Department of Planning for review. For building principal and architecture staff, defers approval to the design review panel, subject to the following condition. Again, staff recommends to move the multipurpose building slightly farther from Dulaney Valley Road. Building materials, staff defers approval to the design review panel. Lighting, staff cannot recommend approval of the proposed lighting, subject to the following condition: incorporate street lights along Dulaney Valley Road in accordance with DTD guidelines. And signs, staff has no objections to this proposed signage locations. However, the design, once it's completed, must be submitted for review and approval to the Department of Planning. And this concludes our staff report, Donald. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we've been given a lot of commentary by the Planning Department's review. And now we'd like to have a similar discussion with the panel members. Mr. Sharma, would you like to start us off, please? Are you there?
Mr. Sharma, you are muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so it was a good presentation, good rendition. They did a good job, but I think the planning department did a better job. Their comments are comprehensive, and I concur with them. Besides that, I don't have any comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens.
Okay. I I must say the design team did a wonderful job on the three buildings and the integration of the buildings with the gathering places and the exterior terraces and etc. Well done. I after looking at all of this, I my only comment, I have two minor comments from my perspective, and one is pertaining to the service and delivery entry into the headquarters building. It's at the corner of Delaney and Southerly Road, and um, from my perspective, I think that's for a service entry. I think you need more concealment and more protection there to kind of conceal that area a little better. And maybe that's and I think you need to incorporate some type of I would say using the Butler stone wall there to extend on the Delaney side and probably make a small L on Southerly to really make that a combined area. That's one comment. And the other minor comment is pertaining to the actual parking garage. I didn't see any incorporation of, and maybe I'm wrong, I didn't see any incorporation of the Butler stone, and really at the base of that building. It indicated 4 materials and there was no mention of incorporating the Butler stone and possibly at the base of that parking structure. I guess I can put that out as a question to the design team.
Would you like us to respond
Well,
to that right now, or wait until you've kind of completed the panel's comments?
I think we should wait till you get through, but Mr. Stevens, when you're talking about loading at Delaney Valley and Southerly Road, can you bring up the site plan, Marta? Is that what you're talking about? I don't think there is a loading.
There is I would think that's a loading. There has to be a service area at that corner.
Look at the south elevation.
Yes, the south elevation. That has to be I'm looking at that as an overhead rolling door. No?
Elevation, Marta.
Yeah, the south elevation.
Yeah, it'll be further back after the renderings.
Yeah, the south elevation.
One more page. Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. On the left side.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, that's the entry of all the service and deliveries into the headquarters building. And I'm assuming once it's there, it's also heading to deliveries to the multi-purpose building that's adjacent to it. But anyway, so that's one comment. The other comment is the incorporation of the Butler stone. And I guess just for I guess this is just a miscellaneous comment, and it's pertaining to the actual headquarters building. I see that. I mean, one of your design concepts is really the integration of the terraces within the building, and I see it it's done nicely on the level floor. And I'm sure there's a rationale why that's not mimicked. You didn't mimic that on the third floor because it would have been a real nice integration to have it on the third and the fourth floor. But anyway, those are my three comments. And the third one is just is I'm sure there's a rationale for it. That's all.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
No, that's it, Donald.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Walters.
Thanks, Donald. I had the same comment as Mr. Stevens about the loading dock. You see it in the door and the rendering from the corner of Delaney Valley and the cross street on page, I think it's 29. So maybe just back up a few in the perspective. And whether it's a stone wall or a different configuration, we've gotten the most kind of prominent corner, at least from the main road. Unfortunately, does have the go up one more. Yeah, perfect. There you can see it right there at the corner. Is the loading dock at the main kind of intersection of the building and the site. And I think that somewhat dovetails into this my second comment. It looks like if you could go back to the site plan, one of the questions I had, and it follows a little bit from the planning comment, but it's how the building massing addresses Delaney Valley Road. Not that the other buildings along Delaney Valley Road are, have a ton of architectural presence, but they do create a consistent edge. And so the question for the design team is, both the headquarters building and the multi-purpose building address Delaney Valley in a different angle, but they don't necessarily work together to either create a concave space or are they, perpendicular as how the headquarters building meets the parking garage to the east of the site. So part of that is, is if we're moving it back further away, is there a better way that those two buildings, the multi-purpose and the headquarters building, can talk to each other from a massing standpoint and create, doesn't have to be a more consistent edge along Delaney Valley Road, but a more consistent in its approach to creating space. Not that it has to be parallel or not, but it seems like they're both at an angle that doesn't work or correspond with each other. And then just two architectural comments to think about. We'll start with the main headquarters building. I think the long horizontal overhangs on all four sides are elegant. It has that kind of very nice simplicity that you'd come to expect in a high-end office building. And you can, right here is fine. The question that I'd like to propose and talk about a little bit is how the top three floors meet the stone base. And specifically, as the windows along become punched, you end up with the darker metal panel acting as like a larger header over those punch windows, and in a way it removes a little bit of the elegance of the flow of the building while you're emphasizing that specific punch window. You lose the horizontal line that's continuous all the way from on the upper floors, and I was wondering if there's a better way that the top architecture meets the base. And is there a consistent shadow line, a reveal, a narrowing of that metal panel that allows that consistent line to carry all the way through that you've so eloquently done on the top three floors. And then finally, Mario, if you could go down to the elevations of the multi-purpose building. Yeah, I think it's, keep it 30. 35, maybe 34, 35, up one, yeah, 34. So I think the idea of the tree column and that analogy, I can visualize it and I can start to see the peaks through, and I can see the elegance of that. The question is really about on the east elevation on the, I guess it would be the south corner, where you have a double height space behind. Is there an opportunity at that corner to really accentuate that double height space on the exterior, where you can really see those columns come from the roof and all the way down? You're continuing the 1-story or the 2-story read of the east elevation all the way across, but in reality, the space behind is really a double height space at that corner. And is that an opportunity to treat that corner differently, and maybe how it turns the corner, but it gives you that opportunity to really express the structure of the building and articulate the double height space, at kind of that juncture where these two buildings are the closest together.
Very good. Any other thoughts?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a few comments to add to some of this. So I think the comments from the staff as it relates to the positioning of these buildings along Delaney Valley Road is important. And the question that was raised about considering some reorientation of the buildings to each other, I think could bear some further study. The other thing, which is occurs to me, on Delaney Valley Road, is that once you get north of Goucher Boulevard, basically everything turns its back on Delaney Valley Road, whereas going back into the city further, into Towson further, everything is oriented to the street. So what occurred to me was whether this open space that is so well developed inside this courtyard is something that is open to or available to the community in general. There's sort of a peak of it, but it doesn't necessarily suggest you can get there from here. And I was wondering if you gave consideration to sort of how the folks along the public access or people going from this building to other parts of Towson would consider getting out of this building and walking down Delaney Valley Road. So between the two buildings, it just seems like it wants to be more clear as to whether it should be open to people to get into that park area, which would be certainly wonderful. Or is it something that's meant to be completely separated from any public access? So it's unclear which direction the scheme sort of suggests that it's not available to the public, and that's a question. And then the other thing, which is sort of written in the guidelines, which is interesting, is that the use of metal panels to appear like they're wood has some concern. I mean, I understand the need to protect it over a period of time. I don't know whether there's a way to deal with the tone of that without it actually looking as if it's some other material that it isn't. And I would be curious as to how you would attack that question. And I think that the garage location makes clear sense on that site, the way it's set up and the orientation of the buildings in general, I think make a lot of sense. I think it'd be a great space subject to some of these refinements, in my opinion. So we need a motion that heads in the direction of either approving it as submitted with the comments from the staff being part of that approval, asking that certain revisions be made and reviewed by the staff. And then obviously the third option is requesting that some of these observations that have been made and thoughts that have been shared would require that the architect and development team come back with some of these issues with further refinement. And I think there are a lot of pieces on the table here, but I think we need to try to give some good direction to the team.
Mr. Khan, if I may,
sure.
If you would like us to respond to some of those comments, we're happy to now, or feel free to make your motions.
I think it would be helpful to respond to them, and then obviously we're on the record with the comments from the staff. But yes, I think if you can respond to them,
Sure.
some of them specifically, that would be helpful in making
Yeah.
your motion.
And first off, thank you, everyone. Very, I think, astute comments and the stuff that we've been working through and having a lot of conversations around, and recognize that it's pushing 9 o'clock here, so we'll be as brief as we can. Relative to some of the staff comments, just a note that I think there's a lot of comments in relation to the Delaney Valley Road and street lighting along that. I just want to call to the panel's attention that our purview is on the inside of the existing Goucher College campus sidewalk. You see the tan that kind of rings Goucher College Road and Delaney Valley Road. So that's actually not within our purview of the design. But we also agree that there should be some lights along that, although that is we'll have to defer you guys to Goucher College for that one. Relative to the conversations around the location and the orientation of the multi-purpose building and the headquarters building and its relation to Delaney Valley Road, we actually did a careful analysis of all the contextual buildings kind of going up and down Delaney Valley Road. The multifamily buildings on the western half are about 26 feet off of Delaney Valley Road. Candidly, it's pretty tight to Delaney Valley Road, and one of the benefits I think that this site has to offer in its existing condition is the softness of the landscape. So one of the things that the design team and Whiting Turner were looking at is how do you kind of keep some of that soft green language along Delaney Valley, which is nice, a kind of reprieve from the very kind of sterile architecture as you're going down Delaney Valley, and get glimpse of some soft architectural behind that. So we're actually a little bit further inland from Delaney Valley than the surrounding context. We're about 41 feet from the southwest corner of the multi-purpose building. And the intentionality around that was really to get some of the tree plantings that you see both in this site plan and then in the technical site plan, which is on page 10. If we could go to that just super quickly. Thank you, Marta. You see all the new evergreen plantings along kind of the Delaney Valley Road, which is all of those small dots. And we did those for two reasons. One, to reinforce the kind of the softness and the green landscape as folks are driving, but also I think was Mr. Stevens, your comment around the loading and using the evergreen trees to kind of help shield that. I think your comment around a Butler stone wall is well noted, and that could further kind of go to kind of minimizing any kind of box truck access that may or may not be entering into that terminal. We very much appreciate the conversation around the elegance of the overhangs. That's something that we really wanted to really accentuate the horizontality and keeping this a low-lying structure while also providing the energy savings to the building itself from the solar heat gain for a building of this size. And then, Mr. Khan, I think your comment around the materiality is certainly one that we've been exploring. We wanted to keep the material palette relatively limited. My colleague Duncan was mentioning, how do you keep some of the natural qualities so that this building remains timeless over time? And, we have to balance the natural qualities with the functional and operational realities if we were to use real wood. There's waterproofing concerns, there's age concerns over time, and what we've been doing is a ton of research into the types of metal panels that provide both the functionality that is required for a headquarters building that will hopefully last 50, 70, 80 years, with the realism of the way the metal panels are constructed. And we've actually found some amazing material samples that honestly, when you're standing at ground level looking up 20, 40 feet, you really can't tell that it's actually a metal panel facade versus a wood one. I'm sure I'm likely forgetting one or two of the comments that were mentioned. Oh, I know there's a comment around the Butler Stone around the base of the garage. Again, a great comment there. We have actually explored that, and one of the things that we thought was really interesting is, using the metal mesh as a screening element along the garage itself. It actually would be a really interesting moment to use some board formed concrete along that base to kind of help differentiate and create a nuance between the architectural experiences. On this page, you see actually the kind of community kind of pathway experience between the headquarters building and the garage itself. And there's this wonderful dichotomy between, the warmth of the Butler Stone on the left-hand side, if you're, looking north, and kind of the metal pan or the metal mesh and kind of a textured concrete on the base there that integrates into some of the rock formations that we were considering in the landscape there. I believe the only other comment that I'm remembering, actually there's two comments that I'm remembering. One is the metal panel in the base, using that as kind of a lintel condition above the windows. We actually did study that as Butler Stone and creating a true punch condition at that ground floor plane. And what we came to realize is the amount of glazing that makes usable kind of workspace behind kind of that glass, it actually creates a long condition that it honestly felt a little disingenuous to put Butler Stone in that spandrel condition, because the weight of that stone kind of naturally feels like it would be too thin relative to the amount of glass that we need. So we've tried to incorporate this metal panel lintel condition that ties to the mullion structure to try and help offset that relative to that. There was another comment around just I think this ties to kind of the positioning of the buildings as well. And I just wanted to note that, as you can see in some of these sections, the elevation grade is pretty intense. So we have to consider accessibility issues with the grading. So I think, Mr. Khan, it was your comment relative to the folks kind of coming off of Delaney Valley sidewalk, that is Goucher campus's sidewalk, and how do they access? And the grades are so severe in that location that any access would be on the eastern half of the site, and there is some of that stone dust pathways that do allow folks to kind of come into the site, but we're just very mindful of the accessibility issues and just having kind of steps in folks immediate purview coming off of Delaney Valley. I believe.
I think the one other comment was just on the, yeah, I think you've addressed most of or attempted to answer most of the questions and comments there. I think that one of the public speakers representing the housing facility was what's in the multipurpose building, and we might have touched on it, but it's it's basically amenities for the headquarters. So it's there's a kitchen, there's dining areas, there's gym, there's kind of a meeting space, training rooms, classrooms, locker rooms, and a mother's room, other basically amenities that are used by the Whiting Turner employees throughout the day. So there'll be people kind of coming and going from those facilities the whole time. And then I think one of the panel made a comment about the double height space not really being expressed on the eastern elevation of the the multi-purpose building. And I think that's actually a good comment. I think that's something we could take a look at. I think that we're still working through some of the interior planning of this building, and we want that to sort of settle down before we really kind of finalize how the exactly where we put stone and where we put glass. I think that's something that we'll probably still develop a little bit as we move ahead. So I think that it's a good comment, and certainly one that we'll take under consideration as we develop the design further.
Very good. No, I appreciate all of that because I think it does impact how we want to present our motion. So that's where we are we need a motion to move this project forward in some direction. So
Donald, real quick before the motion, just one follow-up question. It goes back to the say perspectives from Delaney Valley Road. So if you just page 30 real quick. So I think where we were having issue in understanding, so from the site plan and the landscape plan, right, there's evergreens, trees planted all along the building facade, right, along this elevation, and it's not low plantings and deciduous trees.
Yes. So there's, Mr. Walters, if we could figure out a rendering product that could model every leaf the way we would want it, we'd all be very wealthy individuals. But what we tried to do is create some as illustrative illustrations as we possibly can. But you're absolutely correct.
It's just the view of whether we're looking at a dense line of trees versus seeing the building through above ground cover, right?
Yeah, there would be slightly more evergreen trees than what you're seeing in this view here. And that's kind of the balance where we love kind of the material palette and almost the composition of having, a very lush kind of green landscape, seeing the Butler stone as the layer behind it with the warmth of kind of the richness of kind of that coppery tone. And then above that, you just see the glass that's illuminated from the inside light. So it's well noted that there would be a little bit more evergreen plantings in front of this.
Great.
Thank you.
Again, just thinking out loud too, a motion could require that as this project develops further, we have an opportunity to review further development, both of the landscaping in terms of the wonderful new rendering and some of the comments from the staff as an option, but a motion needs to a motion needs to be made to try to move it forward. But I appreciate the responses from the design architects because I think that helps explain some of the concerns over how this was studied and evolved. So, Mr. Walters, how about a shot?
Wait, before we make a motion, can I ask a question? Did we lose Mr. Sharma from the meeting? Is he no longer on the panel this evening?
I'm here.
Oh, you are here. I'm sorry. I don't see you up in the attendees, so my apologies.
No problem.
Cool. Yeah, I can make a motion. I guess I would ask my fellow panel members, is this motion with caveats, one that is brought back to staff for their approval, or is it brought back to us as the panel?
Well, that Mr. Walters would come through whatever motion you're going to come up with, unless you're wanting to have a discussion right now. So depending on the nature or complexity of how you all feel the resolutions need to be made is where the motion comes into play, whether it's a conditional approval, follow up with staff, or return for another meeting to re-review the proposal.
But I would think,
All right.
I would think it's a review to come back to us. Scott.
Okay. Then I will make a motion for the project team to return to the design review panel while focusing on the following objectives: addressing the staff comments of the relationship of the multi-purpose building to Delaney Valley Road, addressing the visibility of the loading entrance at the corner of Delaney Valley Road, and addressing the visual impact of the landscaping along Delaney Valley Road as it pertains to the movement of the multi-purpose building and the amount of screening being provided.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Thank you. Any other comments on the motion before we call for the question? Okay, all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. I think, overall, I think it's going to be a wonderful project. I don't think we're suggesting anything different, but I think there are some refinements that are appropriate to give it. And as you develop some of your other thoughts, I think, one more good look at it is probably appropriate as we suggest. So we thank you. It's going to be a great addition to the community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I think, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Yep.
All in
I'll
favor?
second.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all
Aye.
for a long evening. Very good effort.
Yes.
Appreciate
Well
it.
worth it. Well worth it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.